Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 262 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on June 10th, 2025. How are all you wonderful folks doing on this fine summer day? Yeah, I hope you're doing well. Things are good here. We're back in action. We were doing explosives training all last week. Yeah, so who doesn't love that? So that's why we were out. Now we're back, and I think June will be quite action-packed for you folks. On today's episode, we'll hit the technical discussion for the Q Southpaw, that Mark 18 report that you folks saw a couple of weeks ago. And we also have another paper we're publishing today concurrently with this episode. That's right. It's the Primary Weapon Systems, or PWS as you may know them, the BDE 22. Yeah, so more rimfire data and analysis for you today, and again, on a very small pistol, so we think the information will be very meaningful for you. That's our goal. And just so you know, next week, we'll be bringing the nerd stuff to you once again with another research study, and I think you guys are going to get a kick out of that. It's one of those big ones, so you'll like that next week too. So for now, we're going to get to the Southpaw technical talk and the BD 22 intro talk. Oh, also, PEW Science Member Deals are here. That's right. There's a Member Deals page now on the website under the Services and Support menu. Yeah, it's only accessible if you log in, so I'll tell you about that too, okay? So on with the show. If you've been here before, well, welcome back. We're so glad to have you back. If you're new to the podcast, goodness, welcome. We're so glad to have you talk about silencer physics. It's going to be so great. Keep in mind, no matter where you're listening, whether that be YouTube or Spotify or iTunes or up on a mountaintop, there are always timestamps in the episode description for you to skip to wherever you would like. If you want to hang around with me a little longer before we start the topics, I am going to tell you a little bit more about the gracious companies who make this podcast possible. Okay, the podcast is sponsored by Legion Athletics. I literally just got done lifting today. It's something I like to do, and when I don't do it a lot, I'm not consistent. It's just not as good. Because nothing you do is worth doing without consistency. Whether that's publishing research, doing well at your job, lifting weights, you have to do things all the time if you want to be good at them. And Legion Athletics can help you with that. They got whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout, creatine, vitamins, minerals, all kinds of supplements. They probably don't have everything you need, but chances are they do have a lot of it. If you visit legionathletics.com, you can just get there from a link in the show notes or at the member deals page. There's also one there too. Use the coupon PEW Science. It'll get you buy one, get one 50% off of your entire shopping cart, and you'll get 20% cash back every time you order something with that code, like forever. So it's pretty crazy. So yeah, good stuff. Get strong. It's important. The podcast is also brought to you by the fine folks at Silencer Shop. They have really helped out not only consumers, but also the industry. Tons of dealers, large and small nationwide, are able to maintain lower overhead and not maintain as much inventory. So if you are a small dealer looking to get started in the space, being a Silencer Shop dealer can help you. Also, your customers love it because they use the kiosk and you do your fingerprints and photos electronically all there on site. It really simplifies everything, simplifies the silencer purchasing process. You get money back guarantee using Silencer Shop too, which nowadays can be important. Okay, you don't pay any transfer fees either. No paperwork errors. It's just you and your silencer with no drama. Truly a silencer ownership simplified. Top Gun Range is a Silencer Shop dealer actually down in Houston. They also sponsor the podcast. They're a good place to hang out and also to speak with about opinions on different systems. Kyle and his gang they're really knowledgeable. They have a 15-lane indoor shooting range. They will let you rent firearms like pistols, rifles, shotguns, and machine guns. They will also let you rent silencers, which is not common. So I know a lot of people do business in Houston. I know I have over many years. If you are just passing through, try to go over to Top Gun. Just tell your boss it's a morale boosting trip and shoot some silencers, okay? TopGunRange.com and also Instagram, Top Gun Range. Capital Armory is another option for you guys. I know a lot of you folks, especially down here in Texas, are familiar with Capital Armory. They are really doing something a little bit different. Silencers are in super high demand. Approval times are lickety split. Sometimes you can't find things in stock. Capital Armory is another option for you. Okay, they have a large selection of silencers, and they'll help you with the paperwork like a lot of dealers do. But the twist is they can also ship the silencer directly to you. So let's say you live in one of the states where silencers are legal, 42 states as of right now. If you live in one of those states, you can actually order the silencer online and have it just delivered directly to you. Like if you work nights or something and you don't have time to go to a dealer, I mean, look, trust me, I don't have time most of the time to go to a gun store. I got 2 jobs and 2 kids. Okay, I don't have time to do a lot of stuff outside of work, and I know a lot of you guys are the same way. So Capital Armory can help you with that. Okay, sponsorship directly to your door. Also, this podcast is brought to you by the PEW Science Laboratory. I'm the technical director of the lab. In the interest of public education, man, this is our 5th year of operation, and we continue to sponsor this podcast. We continue to run the public research effort, and our goal has remained the same from the beginning, to push the silencer industry forward one test at a time. Please visit our website, pewscience.com. You will see the suppression rating, and it's the simplest, most accurate hearing safe rating for suppressed small arms. It's based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before the combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone. And all the mechanical operation from the weapon system is ceased. You know, like whenever you close the bolt carrier group on an AR, how loud that can be? Yeah. Suppression rating actually counts that because it's real. We use real guns, real silencers, and we're shooting them in the real free field. It's as real as it gets. Okay. PEW Science is the home of the silencer sound standard. 7 sections, the most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis in the world, all available to the public 24/7 at pewscience.com. And please, if you're a member, that's awesome because you support this podcast. You support PEW Science. You support all the public testing. For those of you who are not members, you can take care of that right now. Go join with a membership at pewscience.com. Okay, there's a link right there. It's super easy and it's super cheap. But you know what? Maybe you don't like recurring stuff. You can make a one-time donation if you want. The review page and podcast page has a donate button. And you know what? Maybe times are tight. Maybe you lost your job, and maybe you just want to listen to this and dream about silencers until you get back on your feet. That's cool too, dude. You don't have to spend any money with us. Something that's free, doesn't cost you anything, just gesture of goodwill. Give the podcast a good rating. Spread the word. Help normalize the use of suppressed small arms. Okay, let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome. That would be my ask. At the very least, please let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome, because they are. So again, I've got 3 topics for you. Topic 1, we're going to talk PEW Science Member Deals. Topic 2, we're going to talk Sound Signature Review 6189, Q Southpaw Mark 18, technical talk. Topic 3, we're going to talk PWS BDE 22 on the paper that's released today. Who doesn't like 22 silencers? Okay, cool. All right, we're going to topic 1, a time of 8 minutes and 8 seconds. Oh, that's a good omen. 1 moment. That is a good omen, man. When your timestamps are all like autistically structured. Topic 1, PEW Science Member Deals. They're here. Now, slowly but surely working on giving you members something a little extra. This is just the first wave of that. I know it's not crazy awesome, but hey, I coded this up pretty quick. I think it's pretty cool. This is just our way of thanking you all for your amazing support, and just really quick, like literally this is just going to take a minute, and then we can get to the silencer talk. But I was working on this, we were doing the explosives training, and I had some time. I was like, oh my God, I don't have to do a podcast this week, and I'm not publishing a paper. I only have to do 1 job. Oh my God, this is like it's like a vacation for me when I'm not working my 2 jobs during a week. And so I was like, I bet I can use all this spare time I have to code something for the website. And so we launched the PEW Science Member Deals page on the website there. If you go to services and support on the menu there, the little hamburger menu on the website, whether you're on mobile or desktop, you'll see the member deals link. It only works when you're logged in. Okay, so it's not public. It's only for members. This is just our way of adding some more value for you members. Our goal is to add a bunch of companies there. There's already a bunch on there. They keep trickling in. And hey, if you're a company and you want to be on there and you have a coupon and stuff, can you please email us and I'll add you? It'll be awesome. PEW Science Members, I'm telling you, they like stuff. We don't necessarily endorse the companies. I mean, some of them we probably do. Some of them are cool. Some of them, hey, they have links available, and so we're putting them on there. So some of them, they're not PEW Science supporters. They're just companies that sell stuff. These are literally just vendors that sell stuff. Don't read too much into it. You're going to need to buy stuff. You don't have to like everyone you buy from. It's a plus if you do like them, but we're trying to save you money is the main thing here. Okay, you get me? Several of the companies have coupon codes, exclusive coupon codes to PEW Science that we've negotiated to try to save you money. Okay, that's what our goal. In a perfect world, they're all going to have PEW Science coupon codes. Is that the case right now? Not yet. I'm trying my best, dude. Like, if you're listening to this and you're one of the companies, help us help you. People will buy from you if there's things on sale with coupons. Okay, I am a consumer. I am more likely to buy something with a coupon to save money. We're all trying to save money, okay? If you are a member and you click those links and you buy something, that also helps PEW Science. So that's definitely mutually beneficial. That's awesome. I'm hoping that there are some good deals that can help you. And if we can give you coupons, hell yeah, dude. That's awesome. My idea, like big picture, I was like, man, what if because I was thinking of all the different ways you could help you. I was like, what if there's a central repository of gun stuff that you like place at the shop, and instead of having to like Google and hunt and everything, you're just like, oh, maybe you can just use that page as a directory. As like, well, what stores are there? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's going to save you time and money. I'm not sure yet. This is new. Let me know your feedback. It's a work in progress. Okay. There is at the top of the page, there's a quick alphabetical navigation menu at just the top. You can tap or click or where your mobile or desktop, and it'll shoot down to the alphabetical list or roughly alphabetical list or however it's coded automatically there to take you to because there's all kinds of different companies, so it'll prevent you from having to scroll manually. Did test it on mobile and desktop with different browsers. It seems to work fine. Please let me know if it doesn't. Okay, seems to be pretty fast. So thank you, members. This is for you. I hope you like it. Okay, topic 2 at a time of 12 minutes and 26 seconds. Okay, very good. Topic 2, Sound Signature Review 6189, the Q Southpaw on the standard untuned Mark 18. Again, this was a highly requested research study. This is all funded by you, PEW Science members, with recurring theme here in this episode. How does this update to the Q Trash Panda for 556 address the performance deficiencies that we saw from the Trash Panda with Overbore back in 2021 or so? Or does it? Did it? This is the technical discussion. And remember, this white paper of the Southpaw, it was published May 28th, so 2 weeks ago or so. So I trust you've all had plenty of time. Plenty of time to review the report. It seems like just yesterday we did the Trash Panda on the Mark 18, right? Doesn't it seem like that was really recent? I can't believe that was. Did you know the Trash Panda on the Mark 18 was Christmas time of 2021? It's wild. So, and if you've been following the PEW Science effort for that long, and I know many of you have, you will recall that the Trash Panda didn't blow things out of the water on the Mark 18, but it did a lot better than some folks thought it would at the time, I think. Better. So now, almost 3 years later, I think there's less of a surprise regarding how the Trash Panda performed. And why is that? Why would that be? Why would we be less surprised now that time has passed? Well, it's a relatively large silencer for 556, right? The Trash Panda. And Q rifle silencers are generally around 1 3/4 inch diameter OD, right? Like around there. And that gives them a lot of volume. We know that. It's been a talking point for years. And you know what? Volume can help you sometimes with silencers. And I say sometimes because it doesn't help you all the time. We put that old silencer industry wives' tale to bed a long time ago. But yeah, the Q Trash Panda did okay. And if you want to go look at that older report, you can, of course, get there from the rankings table at pewscience.com/rankings. It is public. And I'll also just tell you, it was report 6.61. 661. So recall that the Trash Panda, and I took some notes here so I could tell you, if you recall, the Trash Panda achieved a muzzle suppression rating of 27.2 and a shooter's ear suppression rating of 21.7 on the Mark 18. And that brought us to a composite suppression rating of 28.7. Okay, so 27.2 at the muzzle, 21.7 at the ear. Not terrible for a 30 caliber silencer intended for 300 blackout and 308 and 300 Win Mag. Not terrible on the Mark 18 for a silencer like that to do that, okay? I mean, the Trash Panda, it's not a 5.56 silencer, and you would not really expect it to perform very well on 5.56. And, back in 2021, I think we were still in the, 30 caliber silencers work well on everything, like that marketing train. I think we were still in that marketing train. And by we, I mean the collective we. I think us, all of us together, we were all in it together, and we were, the marketing from companies was still, just get a 30 caliber silencer and use it, whatever. And that wasn't only coming from Q. I think that was coming from everywhere in the industry, dead air, everyone. We know it was, right? That was obviously a dead air thing. One second. Obviously, and I use dead air as an example just because they were so big at the time. And, it was a huge marketing push back when companies figured out they could just make 30 caliber rifle silencers, tell everyone they worked the same as dedicated 5.56 silencer, and they didn't have to have multiple SKUs. And there was all those old wives' tales about bore size. It was just a joke. So there were interesting times. Obviously, we've proven that to be not a universal truth. I'm not saying 30 caliber silencers can't work on 5.56. I'm just saying we've proven that a little bit. There's a nuance there. So with that overbore, with the Trash Panda, you got 27.2 at the muzzle. Shooter's ear, you got 21.7. And look, we're going to get to the Southpaw, I promise, but just stick with me for a second. This is important. 21.7 at the ear with a 30 caliber silencer on 5.56 that had big volume. Okay. Seems kind of low, doesn't it? You might be thinking, but Jay, I thought bigger bores and high volumes reduced back pressure. Why is the shooter's ear rating so low with the Trash Panda? I don't understand. Well, it's another silencer industry wives' tale, and we squashed it here at PEW Science. The fact of the matter is, yes, larger bores can reduce back pressure. Yes. Larger volumes can also reduce back pressure. Yes. But not in the way folks tell you they can. And the reduction isn't really big at all unless the technologies used in the silencer cooperate with what you're trying to do. And the Q technology is nested, steep, straight cones. Okay, yes, they're ported. Yes, they're notched. But they're not doing you any favors when it comes to pressure stagnation and blast oil reflections. Guys, back at the end of 2021, we showed you, hey, maybe you stick to subsonic 300 blackout with these things, huh? Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe that's a better idea. And I think you saw that with a full Nelson later. Okay. This is everything in the continuum, really. the physics of the events, but also the research pedigree is even a continuum. Everything is. There's nothing inconsistent. It's all fluid. So now enter the Southpaw. And you saw this a couple weeks ago. So real quick for everyone here, what is the difference between a Trash Panda and a Southpaw? Well, materials, one. Yeah, Southpaw is stainless steel with an Inconel blast baffle. Trash Panda is titanium. Completely. Okay. What else? What's another difference? Well, Trash Panda is a little over half an inch longer than Southpaw. Okay. What else? What else is different? Well, the mount's a little different, isn't it? Yeah, it's the Q rear end with the Southpaw versus the old cherry bomb with the Trash Panda. Okay. There's a bigger bore in the rear end. Okay. Besides the external wrench flats and everything, but for silencer performance, there's a bigger bore in the rear end. Okay. What else is different between the Southpaw and the Trash Panda? Well, the bore of the silencer. Yes, that's right. This is the pay dirt. Then this is the important part, the big change. That's the big change for performance. The Southpaw can accommodate 5.56 rounds, but with a generous bore. The Trash Panda can accommodate 7.62 rounds with a generous bore. I will say, bore size is something Q does a little better than some other companies. They don't make their bores super tight. Why? Well, they don't want to needlessly increase back pressure, and they also want to ensure precision. With the silencers, there's a few things Q does to ensure precision with their silencers. EDMing the bore, making sure it's big enough, using tapers in their mounting system, making everything aligned. There's one thing Q's good at, it's that. The blast baffle is symmetrical. The old rules of thumb they follow very well because they have silencer expertise that's pretty classic, and they're good at that stuff. When your board gets super tight, it'll make your silencer quieter. It'll drive up that back pressure, but boy, if you have a super tight bore, boy, do you have to mind your P's and Q's more, so to speak. So more overbore can be a little more forgiving for you in general. I think as a designer, I think you guys know that. So the primary difference here, summed up, between the Trash Panda and the Southpaw is a little shorter, the bore's tighter than the Trash Panda. So given just those things, what would you expect would happen on the Mark 18? But let's ask. Okay, we can ask this more technically. What would you expect to happen on short barrel 5.56 combustion propagation by tightening the bore and shortening the silencer just a little? Because look, we didn't shrink the diameter, we just shrunk the length a little bit, right? So volumetrically, we aren't going nuts here in a change, are we? No. Diameter is a big play on volumetric expansion, isn't it? Yeah, look at the formula for volume and tell me where the diameter term fits. Okay, there might be an exponent there. Yeah. So what happens? Well, I'll tell you exactly what happens, and if you would be so kind with me, we'll do it together. Pull up Article 6189. We'll go through this together. 1 minute. Okay. All right, 6189. Members, pull up the member version. If you're not a member, pull up the free version. No man left behind. Bottom line up front, 29.8 suppression rating, 1 meter left of the end cap of the silencer, 1.6 meters above the ground in the true free field. 21.1 suppression rating, 6 inches right of the shooter's right ear. That brings us to a composite suppression rating of 30.6 on the standard untuned Mark 18. Okay, so Southpaw beats the Trash Panda by 2.5 points at the muzzle, and the Trash Panda beats the Southpaw by 0.5 point at the ear. Okay. Relatively uneventful, you may think. And based on just those numbers, which are just gross risk metrics, after all, based on just those metrics, uneventful change. Okay? Uneventful change. And you would expect this based on what we just went over. We painstakingly detailed. We just went over that. But that's not the only thing to look at here. Okay? If you are only interested in gross risk metrics, then you can probably just stop here and you're done. If you want to learn more about how the technology is working, stick around. That's what the point of the podcast. Okay? Excuse me. I am so sorry. Just had a protein shake. My bad. What we'll do, scroll down in the article, in the Southpaw article. I have both the Trash Panda article and the Southpaw article up because I needed to reference something. Scroll down in article 6189 for the Southpaw until you get to the blast overpressure plots in figure 1, please. Okay, all the way down to figure 1. You got figure 1A and figure 1B. You see them? Okay, figure 1A is orange because it has the 6th shot overlaid to the last shot there. Okay. And again, if you're really into this and you're in the position to do so, go ahead and also pull up article 661 with a Trash Panda and compare. This is all chronological and all historical records, so I love when people look at old stuff too. Okay, please do it. I recognize it's not easy. I have a very large computer monitor in front of me that I can split. I have many things open and I can look at them, and I like to do that. I don't have to turn my neck, turn my head. I just kind of look. And so if you're in the position to do so, pull them both up, and it can really enhance your analytical experience right now, because we didn't spend the member funding to do a research article comparing them in one article. I just figured, you know what, just you can pull them up. But I recognize it's not easy to do, but I'm going to be highlighting some stuff here as we go through this, because I do want you guys to think about and consider some technical aspects of both silencers' performance so you really understand how the silencer technology works. So Southpaw article figure 1, right away, you're going to notice that the blast load amplitude is lower than we saw with the Trash Panda. Yes? Yes? Just in a gross sense, you don't have to just look at the axis, at the vertical axis units, and just as if this is the first time listening to the podcast, you don't need to get your calculator out. You can just kind of, I'm giving you this in plain English. Okay, the scientific language is in the articles, so, and the engineering language is in the articles, but this is plain English for you. Right away, the amplitude is lower. Okay, cool. And that makes sense. You should understand why. We just told you why. But what you're also going to see is the duration's different. And this is a little nuance that I need you to understand. Another way to say that is that the vent profile is different. The gas is coming out of the end of the silencer differently. Instead of this kind of pseudo exponential decay slope that you see with the Trash Panda, your slope is a little less steep with the Southpaw. And again, we're still in blast overpressure in the free field figure 1A in both articles. So what does that mean? Like when we're just looking at blast pressure venting out of a single orifice, what does it mean when it behaves like that? Well, it means the gas is coming out more slowly. Okay. So you have two things working for you here with the Southpaw. You got less blast overpressure amplitude coming out in the same amount of time, and it's venting more gradually, so the gas venting is spread out over that time regime. I know that sounds like the same thing, but it's a little bit nuanced. It's actually two things. So why would that be? Bore size. I already told you it's bore size. So now, in early time, you can turn your attention to figure 1B in both reports. You can see something very interesting here. You are seeing in the Southpaw article, you are seeing something you would typically see with a restrictive flow silencer. You get an initial lower amplitude coupled jet. Okay, very good, very good. Followed by some other stuff that may or may not occur based on the technology. You usually, after your first coupled jet, you're going to see some stuff happening that is a function of the tech. The thing I want you to pay attention to here for this talk is that it's a lot different than what you saw in the Trash Panda early time data, correct? Yeah, with the Trash Panda, your first couple jet was really huge, really big. Why is that? Why was your first couple jet, the very first major jet coming out of the silencer with the Trash Panda, why was it so much bigger than with the Southpaw? The orifice was much bigger, more overbore. That distal flow rate was much higher in very early time. Yeah. And so that was also, when you saw that, that was also your first clue that uncontrolled combustion propagation was going to occur. And it doesn't always happen, but that is one of the indicators that you might want to look for that to happen. So to confirm that suspicion with the Trash Panda, we changed spaces, didn't we? So let's do that now. With both articles, we can change spaces. We were just in pressure space. Now let's go ahead and switch to impulse space. Okay, now you can scroll down in both articles to figure 2. You have figure 2A and figure 2B. Now, figure 2A in the Southpaw report, very telling, I think. What you see in figure 2A with the Southpaw is actually extremely positive. If you have a 5.56 silencer, you're going to want to see something like you see in figure 2. It's actually really great. Very consistent blast propagation here. The blast momentum transfer potential, characterized by the integral of the pressure history in the time domain, which is another word for impulse. That's what you're seeing in figure 2. It's very consistent with the Southpaw, very consistent. Now, there is somewhat of an outlier, right, in the plot, in figure 2A of the Southpaw article. There is an outlier. What is the outlier in that plot? The FRP, the first round pop. Now, at first, when I was looking at this, I thought, okay, it's going to be okay. And then you look closer and you see something you don't really want to happen. You see the FRP running away early, and as FRP can sometimes tend to do, you see that, but look where it runs away. It actually runs away super early, like way early. I'm like, huh. And that factor, as we progressed through the analysis, was something we found that was really hurting severity during that first shot, or increasing severity, I guess is another way to say that. The Southpaw has some FRP. You're going to hear it for sure, dude. It's pretty severe, actually. And sometimes when you see what may look like a lot of FRP divergence in the impulse waveforms, the actual impact on the differential in severity, like between the FRP and the subsequent shots, let me put that a different way. Sometimes the relative severity of the FRP, how much louder it is or severe it is compared with all the other shots, sometimes it's not huge, even though you're seeing an early divergence. But it's all about some of the waveform features that are happening. In this case, that early rise time is really ramping up what we call the impulsivity of the load, the net impulsivity of the load, which I know that sounds like a fancy word, but it's like literally how dynamic the load is, how fast it occurs. And things are generally shocked more when things are happening faster. It's like slapping your buddy on the back instead of like gently tapping him or like pushing him. It's different, right? So the impulsivity of the blast load is severe, and you're seeing that well characterized by the early rise time of the curve, is another way to say that. The curve is simply displaying a physical phenomenon, nothing more. Okay. So after that first shot with the Southpaw, it actually gets pretty consistent. Now, there is one shot in there. I think it's shot. It tries to go a little crazy. Shot 3, right? Yeah. It tries to go a little crazy, but it gets back in line pretty quickly. And it seems to me, and this is just an observation, it seems like, just don't shoot the messenger. It seems like the Q engineering team got the bore size just right. Like, got it just tight enough for this design. I am willing to bet a beer that they played with that, because I think that's what we're seeing in the data. Like, what happens when you don't have it tight enough? Well, what happens with this particular type of baffle design, like, it starts, well, if your bore is way too big for the cartridge jet, you start to get what you saw in 2021 with the Trash Panda. Look at figure 2A in report 661 of the Trash Panda when you have a minute, and look at the wild difference between that and what you see in the Southpaw report. The Trash Panda has even more spectacular FRP. That's one thing. Very early accumulation too, just like the Southpaw. Imagine that. But and why is the FRP worse on the Trash Panda? Well, because you're super inefficient with overbore through this particular silencer. And why is that specifically? What is the technical reason for overbore inefficiency with straight nested notched and ported Q rifle silencer baffles in the supersonic ammunition combustion regime? It's a very specific question I'm asking. Why that? Because we're not talking about just any silencer, we're talking about these silencers. The technical reason is because of its simplicity. And stick with me. It's the lack of options. Okay? There are no isolated flow pads in the silencer through which the combustion gases can propagate, okay? They're expanding quickly. The jets are too focused for the Trash Panda baffle bore aperture to deal with. There's a distinct difference between what happens in a silencer like this, and you don't have to call it Q silencer, call it whatever. There's copies of this. There's a distinct difference, for example, between a CGS Hyperion core and a Q rifle silencer core. Okay? What is one of the first things that happens in a silencer using Hyperion tech? And I'm not talking about a derivative like a no-band baffle. No, I'm talking about a silencer that uses actual genuine Hyperion technology, not a copy. What's one thing that an actual Hyperion does? Annular venting, okay? What happens when you use a silencer with Hyperion technology in an overbore situation? You have less of an efficiency drop. Go shoot your Hyperion K or your Helios DT or your full-size Hyperion on a 5.56. The bores of the silencers are gigantic. Gigantic, dude. Super quiet on 5.56? Well, but the short ones maybe not, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about combustion propagation consistency and not being erratic. Okay, Hyperion tech is not the only tech that can help overbore be less of a factor. I'm just giving it to you as an example, and because it's a well-known one, and now it's a well-understood one in our research. The only way to make a Q rifle silencer not erratic is to shrink the bore size. It's not a forgiving design. Okay? In my technical opinion, and you do not have to agree with me, but I'm just going to give you an opinion. You can take it or leave it. I think Q rifle silencers are subsonic ammunition low pressure suppression technology that's shoehorned into a supersonic ammunition high pressure application, and that's the breaks, dude. Like, I think they do that for ease of design and manufacturing. That's what I think. Is that engineering? Absolutely is. It's like one of the definitions of engineering. Sometimes you want to hit a certain price point and you do it. I am not saying it's bad. Have I said it's bad? No. I'm not saying it's good either. I'm just giving you my opinion of the technology. And this is I'm just giving you facts, and this is just my opinion about those facts, okay? I think with lower pressure blast load input, the Q designs are able to control combustion propagation better. FRP notwithstanding, because just as an aside, another consequence of the Q rifle silencer designs is that to get rid of FRP, you have to stack baffles like they're going out of style. You got to get a lot more. And you guys know that. Again, I just talked about this earlier. Go look at the Q Subsonic 300 Blackout research papers on the website. There's a few of them. What is that? The Nelson brothers. One second. I wanted to give the Q technology the best foot forward in those reports. So we did the half Nelson and the full Nelson. They should be the best subsonic performing silencers that Q makes. And turns out the full Nelson has been at the top of the rankings for years on Subsonic 300 Blackout. So I don't want to hear any political theater or conspiracy theories. You guys are nuts. So I digress. So you see what happens at the muzzle. We talked about this ad nauseum now. And you think, well, what does that mean for back pressure? And what does it mean, like, in totality for operator blast protection, right? That's a really important thing to a lot of people. Well, the phenomena that we've seen here, it means that nothing is going to get a whole lot better than the Trash Panda here for you with the Southpaw. I'm sorry. You got to remember, you're fighting two components. Inside you, there are two wolves, and they're fighting. No, I'm kidding. But actually, I'm not kidding. Really, you have muzzle blast overpressure propagating out of the front of the silencer, and you have ejection port blast overpressure propagating out of the breech of the gun. Yes, and those waves are happening with varying timing, and they're coalescing, and then they're reaching the shooter's head. That's you. So with the Trash Panda, you're suffering at the muzzle a little bit. Yes. And that hurts the shooter. But the flow rate's a little higher because things can move through the bigger bore faster. So you end up with that 21.7 at the ear. Okay. With the Southpaw, you're doing a little bit better at the muzzle, but you're restricting flow more, and you do a little worse at the ear. 21.1. Okay. So the back pressure hurt you a little more than the muzzle suppression helped you. Yeah. Pretty simple conclusion. And we can make this pretty simple conclusion only because of the type of technology and the isolated variables we have here. That's why this is such a cool report. That's why we use member funding to do it. One of the reasons. You wanted it, but we also thought it was important for the state of practice. We actually care how these things work. I thought PEW Science was just marketing. Well, stop listening to manufacturers and dealers because they're going to lie to you. Not all of you, but you know who you are. Sometimes this is really this simple, especially when the silencers are simple. Now, one thing that sort of sucks is that even with the bigger bore, the Trash Panda, you still don't get super high flow rate, do you? No, you don't. Why is that? For those of you new to this stuff, why is that? How come? But I thought you lowered the back pressure from the Southpaw. Well, you did a little bit. But why aren't these systems not low back pressure? Well, it's because the early time flow rate is going to be low no matter what you do, because the blast chamber isn't venting enough. You're not clearing blast load off of the first reflector fast enough. This is like basic. This is actually, for all my physicists in the audience, this is basic shock tube physics 101. Like, think back to your combustion lab if you did that in grad school or even undergrad. This is like this is the stuff that like the silencer industry didn't know before we started doing this, really. And then all of a sudden everyone's like, well, no, some of the silencer industry, like OSS knew it, but like no, everyone was making fun of OSS, but like they were right. Oh, it sucks when that happens. I don't see anyone eating crow right now. Why aren't you eating crow? You all made fun of OSS and it turns out they were now everyone copies them. Ungrateful, dude, I swear. And I'm just defending OSS because I think it's messed up. I think everyone, me included, I was like, look, I was skeptical of their technology, but did they understand flow rate? Yeah, more than a lot of people apparently. I thought you just made the blast chamber bigger, Jay. No. God, man, I wish I had like screenshots of all the big name silencer companies lying to you. Oh my God, they said so many things. Oh my God, they said so many things that were completely wrong and were so confident. And now look at what they're all doing. Walk it back, right? The reason, sorry for that tangent, but I'm just amped right now because it's like really the hubris of these people. The hubris, dude. You fly so close to the sun and then you get burned and you act like you're not on fire. The blast chamber of the Q silencer isn't vented enough, and Q rifle silencer technology, it's just traditional. It just doesn't have early time venting. You cannot lower effective back pressure with only a bore size change in the way you want to on a semi-auto rifle. I'm sorry. And that conclusion runs completely contrary to what Q has told you. And I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. They're wrong. And look, are they still saying that? I don't know. But they did for years. I'm just going off of years of historical record. I am not stopping this, dude. This is a real-time research diary, and we're not stopping. You can listen to every episode of this. This is 200, whatever it is. Okay? It's like there's a reason we do this in order. Like I'm serious, dude. I'm playing for keeps here, if you haven't noticed. So now you know. If there was any doubt before, if you're new to the podcast, sometimes I get a little heated. It's cool. We're all friends. I think all the PEW Science members and the hardcore readers already knew what was going to happen with the Southpaw. Maybe some of you didn't. Now you do, and here we are. And I don't think it's all bad. So don't get it twisted. Don't like, he's bashing Q. I don't know. Relax, dude. There's a lot of. I have friends at Q. They're cool. Like some of their engineers are like still my friends. Just because like. I don't let one bad apple spoil the bunch, so to speak, right? I mean, I think there's tons of cool people at all these companies, and I actually kind of like the Southpaw, to be honest with you. Like, just to give a personal opinion to you, I like how it looks. I like the color. I like the finish. I like the rear end mount and how it has rear wrench flats and 90-degree shoulder. I actually like that mount. I like there's an Inconel blast baffle in the Southpaw. I like the style of the silencer. I I think a lot of Q products look cool, and I think looking cool is fun. But if you're chasing super high performance, and high performance means different things to different people, but if you're chasing super high performance, chasing a good flow rate, chasing advanced technology, this is not the place to find it. Okay, I would, just opinion, I would view the Southpaw as a 556 silencer. You get, if you're in the Q ecosystem, you want an actual 556 silencer instead of a 30 caliber Trash Panda pretending to be a 556 silencer. I'll bet you a beer that the Southpaw has a better visual signature at night than the Trash Panda on 556. I bet it's more consistent for you because that's what our data shows. I bet it's more durable than the Trash Panda on 556. And I think that's probably what Q was going for here, and I think they achieved it. So kudos to Q. Good job. Because I think they set out to do exactly what they wanted to do, and that's called mission accomplished. Okay? You have to give them credit. If they wanted to do it and they did it, then they succeeded. Now, whether or not you like it, well, that's not... Maybe they don't care. I don't know. I'm not them. You know, maybe supersonic flow, high pressure stagnation relief, be damned. Like, if you don't care about it, be damned. And just tune your gun, and maybe you just want to look cool. Okay, who cares? Like, if you don't care about getting gassed out with a rapid fire and you just tune your gun to not wallop you with ejection port blast, I think you can have fun with the Southpaw. I mean, now, another thing the Southpaw has going for it is excellent mount security. I mean, I know people love to hate on Q, but hey, has a built-in Q taper because it's a Q silencer. You don't have to mess with a Plan B or a copy of a Plan B. You have it in there. You just thread the silencer directly into the rear end mount it comes with, or the cherry bomb, and you're good to go. That's awesome. Why is that awesome? Because the Q taper mount has some of the best retention you're ever going to have for a taper mount. That exists, dude. And that's my experience. It's just really excellent in that way. They got it right. Are there some things I don't like? Yes. One of the main things I don't like personally, again, just an opinion. You don't have to share my opinion. This is my opinion based on my experience. What you don't want to do with the Q system, and this goes for Q and Reardon and all the copies, don't ding the threads when the silencer's not on the gun, or the mount's worthless. And I don't care if it's Q or Reardon or KAK, or whoever is copying these things. When there's tons of people, they all suffer from vulnerability from mechanical deformation of the thread metal. If you are, like, I don't know what you do with your gun, dude. If you have your silencer off your gun for some weird reason, you're carrying it through the field, and you hit the freaking threads on like a ranch gate because it's slung, and you're messing with, you're hunting coyotes or clearing pigs off a ranch, and you ding the threads on your muzzle device, and you can't thread your silencer on anymore, you're dead in the water, and you better get a file. Good luck, because it's happened to us at PEW Science. So it's a cherry bomb thing and all derivatives, and that's just because it's a fine thread. Now, why are you walking around with a rifle with your silencer not screwed on it? Well, I don't know. I don't know what you had for breakfast either. I'm just saying. Okay, really fine threads are generally less robust than coarse threads when it comes to errant dings. I'm not talking about thread retention and strength necessarily. I'm talking about what I just talked about. Okay, I think I'd like to clarify this because someone's going to, Jay said this, and he's mean. It's like, no, dude, I use silencers. So, okay. Speaking of mount, important. Right. Yeah, scroll to the top of the article if you want. You don't have to. I'll just tell you real quick. There's a system evaluation note. I think I mentioned in the intro talk a couple weeks ago. That sensitivity study that we ran as part of this research program but didn't publish, the rear end mount that comes with the Southpaw versus the original 556 Cherry Bomb, we had a hypothesis that we tested. We had a hypothesis that the original Cherry Bomb, because of its tighter bore, was going to increase back pressure. And it did. We were right, which is cool. It's cool when your hypothesis gets tested and proven to be correct. That's like, oh, sweet, science or something. No, it's just it was cool. But it wasn't a huge difference, but it was measurable difference. I think that using the mount that comes with the Southpaw is smart. So if I was buying a Southpaw, I would use the mount that comes with it. That is my opinion. And you know what? I bet you Q would have the same opinion. And they make the silencer. So you don't want to use a third party mount with it because it will void your warranty. You don't need to. Now that it has wrench flats. So that's my opinion. No, you don't have to listen to me. I'm just giving you an opinion. Q tolerances are what they are. I don't think anyone's meeting Q tolerances. Maybe a PEW Science member actually messaged me. He said that actually Q does license the Cherry Bomb to one company, but I don't know. I forget who it is. It's not a popular one, I don't think. Now, nonetheless, even with the bigger bore mount, the shooter's ear blast impulse has some positive phase action you can't get away from. Members, if you're a PEW Science member, please look at those waveforms. You'll see it. I think you're just going to have to be content with this technology when you use it. I think it's a cool silencer. Now, is it going to win the Nobel Prize? No, dude, it's not. Is it going to be consistent in this combustion regime, in this design envelope? Yes. And I think they did a great job with consistency. I think it's way better than the Trash Panda on 556. I think despite the suppression rating being very close, you see what I'm talking about? There's more to this than the suppression rating, guys. Okay? I think for Q's first 556 rifle silencer, I guess it stays true to their pedigree. I feel like they could have gotten a little creative with the venting, but that's just me Monday morning quarterbacking. I'm sure they had reasons for what they did. I don't know. It probably, again, what we talked about earlier, design economy and manufacturing simplicity. And I think we're going to leave it at that. Steel and Inconel Trash Panda. Smaller with the tighter bore. Looks nice. Compatible with the Q mount universe. Go nuts, dude. If you're a Q fan, this is probably the 556 silencer for you, I would assume. Okay, you guys wanted this. All right, so big thanks to PEW Science members for trusting us to perform this research so that you can understand what is real and what is not real from silencer marketing. Maybe that should have been our slogan. It doesn't really roll off the tongue as much as the pushing the silencer industry forward thing does it. All right, let's talk about something completely different now at a time of 52 minutes and 23 seconds. Okay, oh my God, 1 second. Palate cleanser. Let's have a palate cleanser. You know when you go eat like really nice sushi, how like, was it like omakase where the chef just watches you as you're eating, and he can tell like based on the speed that you're eating and like how you're conversing with your company that you may have someone at dinner with you, and they're watching you, and they want to prepare the next dish in a way and with a speed that will make your experience great. I'm trying to do that for you. I can't watch you, but I can feel the energy. So what we're going to do now in topic 3 is we're going to talk about something completely different. Sound Signature Review 6190. It's the Primary Weapon Systems PWS BDE 22 on the subcompact Beretta 21A. It's a Beretta Bobcat. It's a little tiny pistol. It's a rimfire palate cleanser. Okay, Monocore, 3D printed, and you can take it apart. Okay, lightweight. We're going to look at this is just the intro talk. We're going to publish this today with the podcast. It's today for you. It's tomorrow for me because it's the nighttime. Still haven't finished things. So Primary Weapon Systems, PWS. You know, you saw 2 other silencers in this series already from PEW Science back in 2023. I think it was. Yes, it was. It was 2023. You saw the BDE 762 on 308 bolt action. That was report 121. And you saw BDE 556 on the Mark 18. That was report 123. And in each of those reports, you actually got 2 separate silencer evaluations because why? Because the BDE 762 and the BDE 556 are both modular. They both have long and short configurations. So when you go to the ranking section at pewscience.com and you filter by PWS as the manufacturer, you will see 4 entries. Yes, and tomorrow morning, or this morning for you, you will see 5 entries because now you have the BDE 22 on the Beretta 21A, and the BDE is not modular, so it's only one. easier for me. Okay, so, but like the BDE 556 and the BDE 762, the BDE 22, it's 3D printed titanium, okay, but it's not all printed. It's just the core that's printed. The tube is just a normal titanium tube. You can actually remove the core from the tube. You can loosen the distal end cap with a little tool that they include for you. The end cap interfaces with the end of the tube, and there's a taper, and then that's how everything's kept snug and sealed. I have an old, if you old school silencer guys, remember the old Liberty, not Liberty Precision Machine, but Liberty suppressors, way before Liberty Precision Machines, probably before Riley even, Riley, I was going to make fun of you for being so young. I'm kidding. But no, Dave at Liberty Suppressors in Georgia, he has a silencer series called the Kodiak, or he used to have it. And the Kodiak, it was a Monocore. It was a machine Monocore. And one of the things that I don't like about that, and I love the silencer, it's a great silencer. One of the things I don't like about it is when you, I think the rear cap is the part that fits, but that threads in. The interface between the tube and the distal end of the Monocore doesn't seal. There's no O-ring, and it's like there's no taper, so it's just like it's kind of sloppy. And I know that's like a weird throwback, and things are a little different now. But it was cool that I saw, and I have it right here on my desk. The tube it has a little taper, and then you look at the end cap, and it has a matching taper, and it's like, okay, well, that's very simple. I'm glad they did that. Now, is that like super advanced? No, but it's like a little touch that I'm like, okay, well, finally in 2025, people are getting that right. That's cool. No, I'm not knocking Dave at Liberty Suppressors. Who knows what he's come up with? I haven't looked at his cans in years, probably a decade or more. But I'm just saying, like, I just remember that was just something that always stuck in my mind. As a silencer user, I was like, that's not the way to do that. I was like, because I shot that silencer a lot because, it's rimfire and that's what you do. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you that so you can do that. So with regard to the core of the BDE 22, it's actually not super complicated at all. It's not a hybrid design. There's no alternate flow pads or anything like that. In fact, the baffle design is extremely simple. The way PWS took advantage of 3D printing here was weight savings. Yes. They were able to construct baffles that have very little material connecting them. So, like, normally when you have a little rimfire baffle sitting in a tube, the baffle walls sit against the tube, and like newer, like within the past 5 to 10 years, newer rimfire silencers advertise that as a way of keeping the tube built up, like, not bad, right? So you can get the baffles out and clean it, so the whole thing. But it adds weight, right? Because you have a baffle mouth that's like there when you also have a tube, so you're duplicating material. Now, PWS basically printed the baffle stack monolithically and then hollowed out the connection between each baffle to 4 struts. They didn't hollow it out, but I'm telling you, like, conceptually what you would do if you try to machine something like that. There's 4 struts that connect each baffle. So yes, your tube's going to be exposed to debris, but the whole silencer only weighs 4.2 ounces and it's 5 5/8 inches long. Okay, so you can get a lot of performance for the length here with a simple design. Literally just adding more baffles, which is what they did. Okay, if you can add baffles and length without significantly increasing weight, it's a big deal in rimfire silencer land because you want to try your best to not influence gun handling, right? The point of rimfire suppression is to, like, have fun, have super happy fun time. That means as light as possible. Is like, you don't want a super heavy rimfire silencer is weird. Unless it's like it doesn't matter, and it can, because we have the technology now. Okay, so yeah, so that's the basic gist of the silencer. We're going to speak technically about that next episode in more detail, of course. But for now, this should be some foreshadowing for you. At these low combustion pressures, these low combustion volumes, combustion durations, can you reliably quiet things down with simple technology, even on a short barrel pistol? The answer is yes, absolutely you can. This is an example of that. It's important for us to characterize all the different types of silencer technologies so we can see what works well and what does not work well. Are we a little bit behind on rimfire in the research pedigree? Yes. We will make more progress, don't worry, but hey, baby steps. So take a look through the report. Remember, monocores in the past used to have some pretty bad FRP. I think there's a famous example of that you can think of. I'll let you speculate. We can talk about that later in our research. Just because something's monolithic doesn't mean it exhibits a certain performance trait. It just so happens that the way people would make a lot of monocores in the past was pretty similar. Go figure. Things being similar in the silencer industry? Weird. So yeah, like this is a monocore, sure, but it's actually just a traditional baffle geometry connected by struts. So remember, all printed cores are monocores. The word monocore now means something different in the silencer zeitgeist, doesn't it? The silencer, the collective vernacular. Yeah, it's just how things evolve, I guess. Monocore means something different now to us, doesn't it? So, and also remember, we're not that interested in suppression phenomenology on long barrel rimfire bolt action, right? We told you that. Short barrel semi-auto pistols where the action is, and I think when you see the performance of this PWS unit, you're going to pay attention, and that way you can have fun, your kids can have fun. It's important to be able to suppress this type of rimfire pistol. If you're going to suppress rimfire, you want to be able to have fun, and I think that rifle suppression is going to be pretty good if you can lick this harder problem in general. Okay, so please take a look, see what PWS is putting out now. We can talk technically about it next episode. Sound good? Okay, cool. So thank you for your patience again while we're gone for a week. It was important. So you guys, BDE 22 report today. Next week you'll get something too. Okay, cool. Check out the research, read it, share it. Be safe out there. I will talk with you folks again soon. All right, bye.